should you spend more money on Facebook ads? Well, the answer to that depends, and I will be breaking down those scenarios for you today. What's up, everybody? Alvaro here from Alvaro Barrios Digital, and today I want to talk about when you should and when you should not spend Facebook ads, even when your ads are profitable. So it almost seems logical that if your ads are profitable, you are making money, that you should spend more, but that's actually not always the case. And so these are the nuances that I want to go over today, and this was inspired by a recent breakdown I had with one of my clients after her launch completed. We analyzed the whole thing. It was a very successful launch, but my recommendation to her was do not increase your ad spend. So let's break this down. We were doing specifically a webinar launch for her. Now, before you turn away because you're like, oh, I don't do webinars, this is not relevant to me, this is relevant to every single type of funnel that exists out there, whether you are e-commerce, lead generation, B2B, B2C, it doesn't matter. This applies to everything. Just in this specific scenario, I'll be referring to webinar funnel, but like I said, the logic applies the same across all funnels out there. So she did a webinar launch and it was very successful. It was her very first one. She ended up with a return on ad spend of 2.18, which means that for every $1 she put into Facebook ads, she would get $2.18 back. So she spent about $5,000 and made a little bit over $10,000. And actually, we could even cheat a little bit here because she was promoting a specific program. However, out of this launch, she did get two clients that they decided they didn't want the program. They wanted one-on-one coaching, which is $20,000 to get coaching from this client specifically. So actually, in theory, we could make this ROAS a lot larger, but we're just focusing in on the main program that she was promoting for this webinar. So like I said, regardless, the results were good, 2.18 ROAS. So when we broke down the numbers though, there were a couple things that stood out to me. So everything on the ad side was solid, right? She had really high click-through rates. The conversion rate on her webinar registration page was very healthy. It was a little bit over 30%. You know, obviously you want to be getting at least minimum 25% for something that's free. So she was above that mark. And then her email open rates were very high, above 50%. So everything was looking really good. I'm like, okay, cool. This is why, you know, the webinar was successful. However, we then came upon a metric that really surprised me, and I was like, wow, like usually when the metric is that bad, the launch and the result of the ROAS is negative. However, in this case, she was still positive. So in this case specifically, we were looking at her webinar attendance rate, which stood at simply 15%. So a typical standard, good, healthy webinar show up rate is about 30%. You know, if you're a little bit below that, it's not the end of the world, but you want to be getting 30% or higher. She was at half of that. And even with that, she still had a positive launch. So I told her, I was like, look, for the next launch, do not spend any more money than you spent right now, because just fixing the webinar show up rate alone, by doubling that, getting that all the way up to 30%, which is the kind of standard you want to be shooting for, that alone can double the result without spending a single penny more. So it's very tempting to see these numbers, see the success, and be like, okay, cool, next launch, I want to spend $10,000, $15,000, $20,000, because logic would dictate that, you know, you're still going to get roughly double of your return. But sometimes it's just not necessary to spend more, and all you're doing actually is donating your hard-earned money to Mark Zuckerberg. He already has plenty of money. He does not need any more from you. There's levers that you can pull within your funnel in order to get more out of what you're already spending right now. So applying this to other funnels, you know, if you're e-commerce, look at how frequently people are adding, you know, certain products to their carts. If that's a very low rate, see what you can do to modify that. For any type of funnel, whether it's e-commerce or some sort of SaaS software sales, you know, if people make it to the checkout page, but they're not completing the checkout, you know, maybe that is where you can make some modifications and really see some big improvements. Again, this is all under the premise that your ads are already positive in ad spend. It's very, very tempting to be like, okay, cool, let's crank this up and make even more money. But I urge you to take a little bit of pause, analyze each little micro conversion inside of your funnel, and see if there's anything that can really be improved. And if you're way behind industry standards, like I said, this client, her show up rate for her webinar is 15%, whereas the industry standard is 30%. She's way behind. And so again, just improving that alone can theoretically double her sales while still spending the same amount of money, which that's always kind of the greatest thing that you can achieve, is spending the same money but making more back in return. And that's definitely something that I would like for all of my watchers of this channel to be able to experience at some point. So hopefully this is helpful. Now you might be thinking to yourself, well, this is kind of difficult. I understand the concept, but how do we go about analyzing all of these micro conversions? And I totally get it, especially because Facebook data these days is not 100% accurate. So what I recommend is getting a tool such as Cometly. This is a tool that I covered a couple of weeks ago. It is a paid tool, but it makes it very, very easy to analyze all of your stats across your entire funnel and see what it is that is lagging, what it is that's performing well, and where you need to make some changes. All these dashboards right here are completely customizable to whatever it is that you want to be seeing. And so it makes it very easy to analyze your funnels and optimize that way. So if you are interested in signing up for Cometly, I have a link for that below. Just full disclosure, it is an affiliate link. It does not change the price for you at all in any way, shape, or form, but it does send a little bit of a kickback my way. So it is a very easy way, free way for you to support this channel. So I appreciate any support that you send my way. So hopefully you found this video valuable. Again, if you are profitable, first and foremost, congratulations. That's awesome. I'm extremely happy for you. That's always my goal and intention for everyone who watches this channel. But take a pause before you start cranking up and turning the dial to increase the ad spend. Make sure you analyze everything, because there could be some steps in there that you could take to increase your return without actually spending any more money. So hopefully you found this to be useful and valuable. But if you have any questions about this topic, as always, just let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you next time.